Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed. You should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Cotto-Geale post-fight show. Glad you could join us. We kicked off the show with some technical problems, so I apologize for that. If you're watching live, like I see a lot of you are, you can come on into the chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com, www.BillyCBoxing.com. Fight just ended. Phone line is open. What's your thoughts? 845-228-8710. Miguel Cotto destroys Daniel Geale. Despite the size difference, 1 minute, 28 seconds of the fourth round, a devastating left takes, I thought, pretty much took care of Daniel Geale. He did get up, he did continue, but a right on top of the head drops him, and he shook his head to my man Harvey Dock, and that was the end. All she wrote didn't go for, 1 minute, 28 seconds. Of the fourth round, Miguel Cotto improves to 40 wins, 4 losses, 33 of his wins now coming by knockout. Daniel Geale dropped to 31-4 with 16 knockouts. I don't know about you, man, but Daniel Geale. Listen, I thought that he was going to give Miguel Cotto a tougher go. I really did. I picked Cotto. I thought Cotto would win the fight. But I just thought that it would have went a little longer than 4 rounds, or less than 4 rounds. So anyway, phone line is open, 845-228-8710. Also today, I got a chance to watch the Guerrero fight, Robert Augusto Guerrero over Martinez. And I think Guerrero. I think Guerrero might be done. To be honest with you, the fight was close. I mean, 95-94, 1 point swing or something. I'm okay with, but that one score, what was it, 97-92 or something like that? I mean, what fight were they watching, man? What fight were they watching? Hey, I want to welcome all the viewers that are watching on Ustream through LDL TV. Glad you guys could join us. Phone line is open. What's your thoughts on the fight, man? Miguel Cotto, is he ready for Saul? Is he ready for Triple G? Seems like he's ducking Triple G, at least now. I think Saul Canelo Alvarez sounded like he's next up, but don't be surprised if Floyd Mayweather gives him a ring-a-ding to see if he'll be willing to fight him in September. It makes sense, right? 845-228-8710 is the phone line. 845-228-8710. What's your thoughts? Remember, you're driving this show. So you call, I stick around. You don't call, I go to bed. That's what it is. That's what it is. But anyway, we got the chat room up on BillyCBoxing.com. They're chatting in there. Triple G is what my man Mike from Michigan wants to see. I don't know. I would like to see Triple G. I mean, right now it seems like Miguel Cotto is feeling pretty invincible, and he destroyed Daniel Geale. I was listening to, I guess it was Max Kellerman said at the beginning, he thought it was kind of strange that Miguel Cotto was fighting Daniel Geale when there was talk of a Triple G fight. And he says, it's going to be tough for him to, do any better than Triple G did. And I don't know. You might be able to argue the point that he did do something better. I think he knocked out Daniel Geale a little more convincing. Well, I guess Triple G knocked him out convincingly. It was a sustained beating, but Cotto took care of him pretty well. But anyway, we got someone on the line right now. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Billy C. It's Isaac from San Diego.
Isaac from San Diego, man. How you doing? What did you think of the fight?
Well, I mean, it was short.
I know.
I mean, it was pretty quick. I just got home and I just started getting settled in, and when I saw that punch, I was like, okay, like that was pretty fast.
I tell you what, it was a devastating punch, and he still got some pop in there. I mean, how do you think he fares against a Saul Canelo Alvarez or even a Triple G? I mean, obviously, one of those guys have to be who he fights unless Floyd gives him a shot, right?
Well, honestly, I think that Geale, for starters, the guy has no power, and he doesn't take a punch very well. Alvarez, he can take a punch. I mean, he took some solid shots a couple weeks ago, a few weeks back against Kirkland. I mean, at least in the first round, he took a couple of good shots from Kirkland. And I honestly think that Kirkland, hits harder than Cotto. So I don't really think he'll have a problem so much with Cotto's power. I think it'll be a good fight, and I still think that Alvarez will win, though.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards Alvarez, too. If I'm Cotto, I mean, like I said earlier, he's thinking he's pretty invincible right about now. I'm sure he is. But, if I'm Cotto, I'm thinking both of those names, Canelo or Triple G, spells disaster for me. I think I would. Yeah. I think if I'm Cotto, I try to get the most money. That's what I mean. Alex Papali the other day on the show, he brought up a good point. Mayweather could accomplish beating Cotto, and giving him a rematch could accomplish winning that middleweight title on his last fight with Showtime. So you never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like Cotto wasn't too eager to talk about either Alvarez or even more so Golovkin. It almost seemed like he was kind of skirting around the question a little bit. He's like, well, if the fight happens, it happens. Like, come on. Right. People are wanting to see that fight. He kind of backed out of it back in May, so it's just one of those things. It seems like he doesn't really want to care to fight either one of them, and he's fighting these subpar opponents, I guess, with Geale. I mean, he's not a A-level class fighter. He's more like a B minus, C plus kind of guy. So, I mean, if he goes up against Alvarez and Golovkin, I don't know. I just don't think he's going to be able to beat those guys. I think he's already long on the tooth, and as far as his experience, he's a little older already, and so I don't know. I just think that Alvarez probably would beat him, and I know for sure Golovkin probably would beat him, knock him out even.
The significance, I guess the overall significance with Daniel Geale is the fact that I guess we have to look at Daniel Geale as being a legitimate middleweight, right? And Cotto beat him. Because Sergio Martinez, I mean, as much as he was a good middleweight champion and he was a world middleweight champion, he was also a guy that was forced to move up in weight just to get the fight. So at least Cotto showed that he could beat a real middleweight, even though it was a catchweight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it was like a short fight. I mean, it was a good performance by Cotto. I mean, like you said, he's a middleweight, the guy he fought against Geale. I mean, that was a really nice left hook that he shot out there. But I don't know. I mean, I just think that if he were to fight, Alvarez or Golovkin, or even I don't know, maybe even I even think even Erislan Lara, I think he'd have a really hard time. I don't know. I just think that Geale was just not even close to the level of those guys.
Yeah, I think Cotto's looking for one more big fight. I can't see him thinking it past one big fight. Hey, before we let you go, did you get a chance to see the Robert Dagos Guerrero fight?
Oh, you know what? I didn't get a chance to. I was at a friend's anniversary dinner, so I just didn't catch a chance to catch that. I mean, I know that he won, but yeah, I know I heard he got dropped or something like that. So,
yeah, and I
go
watch.
Door, I think, pretty close to it. So.
Yeah, watch that fight. See what you think, because I don't know. I thought he lost. You know, I thought he lost by a point. You know, to be honest with you. So
they said it was really close, and then that one of those scorecards I think was like 97-92 or something.
Yeah, 97-92. I'm like, what fight was he watching? You know, that means he must have given Guerrero every other round, and Guerrero. I mean, the way I saw it was I thought that Martinez won the first half of the fight, including a knockdown, and Guerrero won the second half of the fight, you know, and it was 95-94 on my scorecard.
And that was one of the PBC fights, right? It's on NBC?
Yeah.
I think I probably watched it on the app or something. I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Drop me an email. Let me know what you think.
Sounds good, bud. Well, thanks for the post-fight show and for the daily shows. They're great. I'm also a premium podcast subscriber, so keep up the great work, man.
There you go, man. Hey, what did you think before? Did you listen to some of the older shows I threw up there last week?
Oh, it's good stuff, man. You and your cousin Jeremy is good.
That was funny, right? It was good stuff. That was when
good, man. It's the best $15 I've ever spent. So there you go.
It was that morning show. We did it for it was on a station, you know, like for the morning drive in and stuff. And so we did a lot of different stuff, but we had a lot of fun doing it. It was fun. I'm gonna keep throwing those up.
I really try to tell my friends too that like boxing and stuff to check you out, and because you have really good quality, and it's real good. I just want to make sure at least I want to put my 2 cents in and make sure that you keep going at it,
No problem, man. Don't worry about that. Thanks for the call, my man.
All right, take it easy.
All right, take care. There's my man from San Diego, and I was wondering about that. I put up some older stuff from 2008, I think, 2008, from the morning show with Jeremy and I. It's some good stuff. 845-228-8710. What's your thoughts? Miguel Cotto annihilates pretty much. He annihilated him. Daniel Geale, 1 minute and 28 seconds of the fourth round is when the official end came. It was 2 knockdowns. In case you missed it, beautiful left puts Geale on his butt in round 4. Didn't think he would survive that, but he did get up. And then an exchange, including a headbutt or two, and then a right on the top of the head, on the top of his head. It hit him on the top of his head. And down went Geale. And when Harvey Doc says, you ready to go? He says, no. Dax is on the line right now. What'd you think, man?
I wasn't impressed at all.
You weren't impressed? I was impressed. Come on, how could you not?
I wasn't impressed at all.
How could you not be?
I really wasn't.
How could
Cotto hasn't impressed me since probably 2009 when Cotto beat Joshua Quadri. Ever since Cotto hasn't impressed me. His best performance since then, and the healthiest fighter he has beaten since then, is Delvin Rodriguez. Cotto, anybody can say what they want about Floyd Mayweather and his cherry picking. Miguel Cotto is at the top of the tree, scapping all the cherries before Mayweather can get one. And, the fact that Miguel Cotto likes to beat his chest, and he likes to talk about how he should be the A side all the time, but there's always these stipulations. How he said he refused to fight Daniel Geale, who has made it obvious, who has made it known many times that he has a hard time making the 160-pound limit. That's Geale's fault. But then when you sit there and say, well, I'm not going to fight him if he comes in over 157 pounds, despite the fact that your sanctioning body and the commission said if he comes in at 160, it's still going to be a title fight. Cotto would have rather thrown this away just to get that advantage, knowing how he was going to be drained. And, when Triple G's name was mentioned, Cotto became a stuttering fool. When he seen Triple G in the crowd, I thought Cotto was going to run out of the ring. He really is. And the fact that he doesn't even like to address Canelo. He came in under the 154-pound limit. Miguel Cotto right now is trying to cash out on all the big money fights, and it's time to go. I really think Miguel Cotto has had everything beaten out of him at welterweight by Manny Pacquiao. That was the last of it, because ever since then, he's not only done careful matchmaking, but he has done every possible thing he can to avoid any fight that might be slightly dangerous. I have seen it really. He nauseates me now.
Well, here's the thing. I guess it would be a tough argument to say he hasn't been carefully picking his opponents. But putting that aside, I thought his performance tonight was pretty good. I thought that his movement around the ring was good. Geale couldn't hit him, so his head movement was there, and he definitely displayed some punching power. Daniel Geale is a durable fighter. I mean, like our last caller, I mean, he's not like he's an A-list guy, but I don't disagree with you in terms of, Cotto seemingly avoiding these other two fighters. And like they're talking about in the chat room right now, the bottom line is he's probably going to end up getting stripped, Dax, because I thought that first of all, the main his mandatory now is to fight Triple G according to the WBC, and Saul Canelo Alvarez technically isn't even a middleweight. I guess he fought his last fight at middleweight. He was 154.5. He was 1.5 pound, and Cotto didn't even weigh 154. He weighed 153.5 yesterday.
Right, and the WBC was generous. And they allowed Cotto to enter negotiations with Canelo for a fight that when Triple G was already the mandatory after he took the interim title from Rubio. Of course, the WBC is going to do that because, A, Canelo is a huge draw. We know how they like the sanctioning fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All that aside, Cotto decided, for whatever reason, he didn't want to fight Canelo. He had all types of reasons to not go to the fight because Cotto's pride was hurt. He wasn't going to be the A-side. Sorry, Cotto, you're not the A-side on it. And he knows he's not the A-side on it. Same thing happened with the Martinez fight where he drugged that out. He almost blew that fight, if everybody remembers correctly, because he insisted on being the A-side. So what happens? Canelo moves on, and he does his own, because he doesn't need Cotto to make his money. Now, Cotto was hoping that he was going to get that big money fight with Mayweather. Mayweather wanted nothing to do with him, and that left Cotto out in the cold. And so then, once things were really pressed upon him that you have to fight either Canelo or Triple G, by the time your year comes up or we're going to strip you, then all of a sudden he enters negotiations. They're not going to strip a champion that's already in negotiations on a contract, especially when the two guys that they wanted him to fight already just had fights, or they were in negotiations for those fights. And the Cotto wanted so much to be the guy to control everything, and right now he is the odd man out because he is... the cowardism is going through him. This is a guy, Bill, I used to be such a big fan of. He comes from the same hometown as my family does in Puerto Rico, and he was such a warrior at one point in time. But then you're going in front of cameras and in interviews, you're sitting there saying, nobody tells me who to fight, meaning the WBC. You can take your title. You don't tell me who to fight. Rather than give you your 4% sanctioning fee, I'd rather drop the title. You know what that tells me? That tells me you're scared. He's scared of Triple G. He's scared of Canelo Alvarez, and he might fight Canelo, if that's the lesser of the two evils. But that's why Triple G walks around with this striped shirt that looks like one of them old prison shirts, because he's murdering the middleweight division, and Miguel Cotto doesn't want to be number 21 on that hit list.
Yeah, he's murdering the middleweight division by not even fighting him. Nobody even wants to fight him. But hey, listen, what's your thoughts? Did you see the Robert Guerrero fight?
I did. Matter of fact, I already sent you my opinion, my write-up on that whole card. Robert, it was a close fight. I had actually Martinez up by 1. I gave it to him 95-94.
Me too. Same score.
I think Robert Guerrero, he did a stupid thing like he has a habit of doing at the welterweight division, and he tried to stand in and do a phone booth fight. Aaron Martinez is a guy, he underrated. He's never really fought anybody of worth, so Guerrero thought he was going to go in there and take care of business and look sensational. let's be honest, that's what Aaron Martinez was there for. He was there to make Robert Guerrero look good. And once, those first couple rounds came about, it was like, gee, what do we do here? Even in my opinion, Bill, now if I'm wrong, let me know. Even the rounds that Guerrero won, Martinez, at some point in time, he seems to finish those rounds by landing the harder punch. And Guerrero, on my cards anyway, ended up getting those rounds because he dominated the earlier parts. But when you're getting dropped by a guy that's 19-3, who hasn't fought anybody, and you're a 4-division world champion, what does that say about you?
It says you're spent. I think he's a done fighter. He's been in too many wars. He was never the most talented fighter to begin with his father in the corner telling him to go get him and all of this. I think it's clear that Robert the Ghost Guerrero is not the fighter he was, or maybe he was never the fighter that I perceived him to be, and he's ordinary. And I think what we saw on that Premier Boxing Champions show today is the total. I was thinking about it, Dax. It's the total network television quality fights. I mean, that's what we saw. We just happened to have seen some names we've heard, but they were supposed to be one-sided. That Guerrero fight was supposed to be a showcase for Guerrero, and it didn't turn out to be. I think I scored it 95-94, and poor Victor Chinian. He might as well go home now. I mean, I don't think he's going to try again. You think?
No, I would hope not. Now, if you remember, might have been 2, maybe 3 years ago when I did a story on Vic saying, is he having a hard time calling it a day? Now, he's been in some competitive fights since then, but, he suffered some brutal knockouts, and he always seems to be doing really good, but he has that problem that a lot of punchers have always had. Once the chin gets dented once, it stays dented, and as soon as you hurt Vic, he stays hurt. He may get up, but he stays hurt, and he's not the type of guy that can shake it off and continue on and fight to the end. So that says right there for your own health, it might be time to go.
But look at his size. Look at his size.
Period for your own health.
Look at his size difference, though, Dax. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
Come on.
Remember, Vic started out junior flyweight.
Come on, man. They did. He signs with Al Heyman, Victor Chinian, and man, did Al Heyman lead him to slaughter. I mean, that. He looked like he was 3 weight classes below that guy. I mean, he, what's his name, was way bigger than Victor Chinian. So.
And Vic is, he's 39 years old, which at those lower weights, he might as well be 69 years old. Because, lower, the lighter fighters, they age quicker. In all fairness to Robert Guerrero, he's not a bad fighter. I just think, he chased the money. He did. He chased the money up to 147 pounds. That's why he skipped over the 140-pound division, because there was really nobody at 135 when he was there. The biggest fight there was his biggest fight there was Katsidas, and 147 just happened to be a little bit too much for him. And when he tried to get himself, because nobody was in a rush to fight him, not saying they were avoiding him, but he really wasn't an exciting fighter. He wasn't the type of guy that was going to draw fans and help you headline or further your career. So he had to try and make these exciting fights, and he's tried to stand toe-to-toe. And like you said, it just wasn't a good decision for him. His father is, one in the corner that, was telling him that he should do these things, and it just hasn't worked out. And at this point in time, if he can't drop down, he could end up just being a gatekeeper.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thanks for the call, my man, and look forward to our regular week next week, and we'll be talking with you on Thursday, right?
One last question just for you, in all honesty. Okay, yeah, we got Cotto. Forget about Golovkin. Forget about Canelo. Let's say those fights don't have to materialize. You need to look at him now. Look at him at the Martinez fight. Look at his movement. And Dan is a better mover than Cotto is. David Lemieux, the way he comes out, he starts faster. He steamrolls him. Cotto's a dead man walking. He really is.
Well, I mean, there's not. Daniel Jacobs, he could probably be. I think Daniel Jacobs is totally overrated, and they shouldn't put a mic in his hand either. But
No, but I'm just talking about as far as the guys out there who really can, without cherry picking, so to speak, or without draining guys. If Cotto has to fight guys at 160 pounds and he doesn't fight Triple G and Canelo doesn't come up, there's no way. I think and Dan outboxes him. I really think that David Lemieux walks through him. I think Andy Lee, at any point in time, he catches him with that one big hook. Cotto goes to sleep. I don't even think he beats Quillen at this point in time. So I'm just disappointed, not so much in what he does, because we see more and more often guys doing the catch weights, for whatever reason, as an advantage. But Cotto, it's been a very long time since you've actually done anything that makes people want to see you. You've just built up the fan base that's kind of dwindling out slowly by slowly. If this was any other week other than the week of the Puerto Rican Day Parade, that place would have been half empty. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. But I could see, and I don't see him fighting any of the other contenders. He's going for a big money fight, pay-per-view. That's it. He wants to cash out, I think. But anyway, I look forward to you next week, my man.
All right, talk to you soon.
Take care. That's Dax Khan. You can check out his column up on BillyCBoxing.com. Phone line is open. What's your thoughts? 845-228-8710. Brazil fought. We should call him Brazier. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought he had bigger boobs than Caitlyn Jenner, for God's sakes, the way he was bouncing around in the ring. And he started off, he's how like you look at some of these young heavyweights and you see some promise, right? We were talking about Anthony Joshua last week, and I think he's the future of the heavyweight division. I think he beats Deontay Wilder right now, to be honest with you. But I think eventually it's all going to belong to Anthony Joshua. And you look at Brazil, and Brazil was a guy that, a lot of people had high hopes for. He was an Olympian. He didn't win a medal, but he won by knockout tonight. So that's all that's going to matter. That's all that's going to be in the record books. But he didn't impress me at all, and he doesn't look like he spends too much time, keeping his fit and trim. It looks like he hangs out at the buffet a little too much. Anyway, we got somebody on the line right now. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jesse from Dallas.
Hey, Jesse from Dallas. What's going on, man? What'd you think of the Cotto fight?
I didn't really see the Cotto fight, man.
You didn't see the Cotto fight? Did you see?
Nah, I don't have HBO.
Did you see the Guerrero fight?
Oh yeah, I thought he lost, man.
Yeah, I thought he lost. I thought it was a close fight. 95-94 is what I scored it, but I thought Martinez won the fight.
Now I think he won by at least like one extra round than that,
Yeah, well, who?
The 95-94 would be even on rounds because of knockdown, you know what I'm talking about?
Right, and that, to tell you the truth, that's how I had it. I had the first five pretty much going to Martinez, and then I thought Guerrero was coming on in the second half of the fight, So that's exactly how my scorecard was. The first half went to Martinez, second half basically went to Guerrero, and the knockdown made it a 1-point victory, So, but how about that one judge? Did you? Well, first of all, who did you think won the fight?
I thought Martinez, man, the darker guy.
yeah, you thought Martinez won, right? So
yeah, I thought he won by at least what was it about? I thought he won about 7 rounds to 5.
Yeah. Oh, so you thought
it was 5. It was 6 rounds to 4 because it was 10 rounds, right?
Yeah. So you had him up a couple of points.
Yeah, I had him up like 3 points.
So you think Darchinian should retire after his loss tonight?
Oh yeah, that's a hard weight, man. Those lower weight classes. It's hard to be old and
tell me about
to make those weights.
You don't have to tell me about how hard it is being old, but he looks so much smaller, didn't he?
Oh yeah, that makes he was huge.
I know he was, man. That's for sure.
Compared to he looked like he looked like a whole weight class ahead of him at least.
Well, I'll tell you, if you get a chance, watch the Cotto fight. You could probably see it up on YouTube in a couple of hours because it didn't. I won't. Do you know who won and everything? You can I?
Oh yeah, Cotto won landslide. Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah. I didn't want to ruin it for you. He knocked him out, and devastating left hook dropped Geale the first time. Then a right hand over the top of his head put him down and out. Or actually, he got up and said he couldn't continue. So check that out and see what you think, because the big question now is who do you think Cotto should fight?
I like the way he's heading on his career. His age, he shouldn't be jumping in there with a monster like Triple G.
Yeah.
I know it's fan-friendly, but he shouldn't be doing it,
Yeah, nobody
he's a
wants
veteran. He should control his career like the way he's doing it.
Nobody wants to step in the ring with.
Fight Austin Trout again.
It's funny. Nobody steps in the ring with Triple G yet. There's so much criticism that he doesn't fight anybody. And it's like, oh, when's he gonna fight somebody good? Well, when they get in the ring with him. I mean, it's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see him with the winner of the Indom and Lennox, right? Lennox.
Lemieux. Yeah, I think
Lemieux, yeah.
I think that would be good. Yeah, I think that would be good. But I think he's looking for a bigger money fight, and he's probably going to find that against Saul or Triple G, or even a rematch with Floyd. You never know about that. But anyway, Jess, I appreciate the call, my man.
All right, man.
All right, take care. That's my man Jesse from Dallas. Dallas, I think he said, right? So I didn't get to see the Cotto fight, but got to see the Robert Douglas Guerrero fight, and agrees with pretty much us so far. Everybody that's called in that Robert Douglas Guerrero got a gift tonight. No question about that. Phone line is open, 845-228-8710, 845-228-8710. Heavyweights. Do we have any heavyweights in the United States that we can really look forward to, aside from Deontay? I mean, we got to give Deontay Wilder credit. He is a world champion, and he is American. But after him, who we got? I don't know, man. I don't know. But we do have Anthony Joshua, even though he's on the other side of the pond. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello, we got somebody. What's your?
Oh yeah, it's Jose from Ohio.
Hey, how you doing, man? What did you think of the fight?
I thought it was. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching the fight, and it was kind of breaking up. I did see the knockout, and I thought it was a really good fight for Cotto.
Yeah, I thought Cotto. I thought Cotto looked good. I mean, I saw a movement from him that I'm not accustomed to seeing. He obviously still has his power. He fought a legitimate middleweight in terms of size. The only knock I have on him is, he's probably going to wait too long before we see him fight, either Triple G or Canelo.
Yeah, but I was going to go back to one of your earlier callers, and I think he had brought really good points. I think we see a lot of times boxers who are A-side like Cotto, there's too much leniency towards them. I think we need to stop with the big catch weights, and I think they need to start fighting at their true weights, because I did see Daniel Geale. He looked pretty drained. I mean, and another thing too, I will say that even if the catch weight wasn't there, I still think that Geale still would have lost either way. But I think they should fight at their true weight.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I can't stand the catch weights, but here's the thing. I say that, and here comes a but, right? Because first of all, I can't stand the catch weights. I think, just like you said, if you're fighting at middleweight, especially for a title, you get to weigh up to 160 pounds. Now, if you want to come in at 150, you can too. I mean, that's up to you. But the limit is 160. But with that said, The thing I really can't stand with the catch weights is that I don't want to hear anybody complain that Daniel Geale was drained. But you can't use it as an excuse because he signed the contract. Even though I disagree with catch weights, it's the same thing with Manny Pacquiao. I'm not going to make an excuse, but I hurt my hand. I hurt my shoulder, I should say. It's like, don't make an excuse then. Don't complain about the catch weight if you sign the contract. That's all. I agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't think Daniel Geale should use that as an excuse. Yeah,
I think so too. I agree with you too. I think after it's said and done, and I don't think that Daniel Geale is making that excuse. I think it's just the spectators like me. I mean, these guys are professionals. They're not gonna. And Daniel Geale, he's a really honest guy. I don't think he's gonna use that excuse. But I think that there should be less leniency in these big fights like this. And I think just how it should be.
Yeah, well,
but either way, I think without the catch weight, because another thing too, after the fight, I was listening to some of the commentators, and they were even saying Geale looked like he wasn't. Geale did not look confident in the fight at all. Did you notice that, or?
Well, I thought that he was a little surprised at Cotto's power, to be honest with you. I think that right in the first round, Cotto landed a couple of hard shots, and Geale seemed to me. Now I was watching on TV, so I wasn't ringside, obviously, but he seemed to me like he was a little surprised that he wasn't expecting Cotto's pop to punches to have that much pop behind him at this weight, and I think he kind of went into panic mode a little bit, and that's why. Despite, and I agree with you too. I don't care if it was at 160. I still think Cotto would have won, but I thought Daniel Geale would have given him some trouble, But
I think another thing too is, I don't know if this is true, but there's room, because I was hearing that Cotto weighed in at 182 today before the fight.
Cotto did? I heard the other guy.
Not Cotto. I mean Geale.
Yeah, Geale did. Yeah, Geale. That's what they said on HBO in Street Clothes. He looked that much bigger.
But I don't know how big, because I know they didn't weigh Cotto. How big do you think Cotto looked? I mean, he didn't even look like he was 160. I mean, maybe little over 160.
I'd say he weighed. I say tonight when he stepped in that ring, I'd say he weighed 160. That's exactly 160? What I think. That's what I think Cotto weighed. If you weighed him,
I was hearing rumors that he didn't even weigh 160. That he was still in the 150 range.
Well, on the weigh-in, he weighed 153.5. He didn't even. Yeah. He didn't even weigh the junior middleweight limit. So. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it was He was 153.5 or maybe 154.5. It was either definitely. I'm pretty sure it was maybe one of the guys in the chat room.
153.6.
Yeah, 153.6. Okay, so he didn't even weigh 154. But I think fight night he was 160. But still, he was a smaller guy. But I thought I liked. Listen, I liked what I saw from Cotto. I don't like what comes out of his mouth. But I liked what I saw in the ring.
Yeah, but also, that's another thing too. Geale knew that he was a bigger guy to begin with, and I think maybe what surprised Geale was he didn't expect that much power from someone who isn't a middleweight.
Right. I think that his game plan was to go in and muscle Cotto and show him that he's the bigger guy. Next thing you know, Cotto is hitting him and hurting him, and he's like, whoa, and he once he started going backwards, Cotto. Followed him. Hey, listen, I thought Cotto broke him down and beat him, and credit to him for winning, but we'll see what he does now,
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate the call, Alex.
Okay.
All right,
and
brother.
I think the next fight should be Canelo, definitely. That's the money, and that's what everybody wants to see.
I know, but, there's rumor now that he's taking more time off, and Canelo wants to fight every couple of months, so I don't know. I predict that Cotto's going to end up getting stripped of that belt, You watch. He's going to end up getting stripped. He thinks he's more in demand than he really is, I think.
Okay, well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
No, I know. I like him, but I want to see him in a big fight. I want to see him against, a Triple G or a Canelo Alvarez. I think, listen, to tell you the truth, and even though I'm a fan of Miguel Cotto, I don't think he beats either one of those two guys.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But, I think he still needs to prove a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
And
he's got a lot of money right now. Miguel Cotto could go back to Puerto Rico and never come back here again, and he'll be happy.
Yeah.
But
he's set.
yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. But anyway, thanks for the call, my man.
Yeah.
All right, take care. So we got Dallas. We got where did Alex just say he called from? I forgot. That's my mind. But anyway, Miguel Cotto taking care of business tonight against Daniel Geale. You're listening to the Billy C. Cotto-Geale post-fight show here on BillyCBoxing.com. Now, if you just stumbled across the post-fight show, maybe you don't know, but we do a daily 2-hour boxing talk show. You can catch a stream right here where you're watching this stream right now, Monday through Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or you can go up and catch the internet version up on YouTube, youtube.com/talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING. And check your radio listings. We're on radio stations AM and FM throughout the U.S. and Canada. So hopefully you guys can start to watch or listen to our daily show. And we got a podcast available as well. Phone line is open. Remember, you guys are driving the show. The phone calls stop. I call it a night. 845-228-8710. I guess there's not that much to talk about. Miguel Cotto dominated Daniel Geale earlier today. We also saw Robert the Ghost Guerrero make his return to the ring against Aaron Martinez, and I thought Martinez won the fight. It was a close fight. Guerrero was dropped, and he was in some serious trouble in that round. He's lucky that the bell did sound. You probably couldn't have even argued if they waved it off. He was in some serious trouble. And I'll tell you another thing. You could even, if you watch the replay, you could even criticize the referee for not stopping the fight because there was a shot that hurt Guerrero, and he basically dropped his hands. He was against the ropes, and he was taking many shots, and then finally went down. So you could have argued that he could have been knocked out. I thought he looked terrible. I think it's over for him. Personally, I think that he is not the same fighter he was. So Robert Douglas Guerrero should consider packing it in. But we got somebody on the line right now. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Isaiah Rosa.
Oh, who? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Isaiah Rosa.
Isaiah, how you doing, man? What's your thoughts?
Man, I just thought, Cotto fought a good fight, man. It was solid. He gave a solid performance.
Yeah, he definitely fought a solid fight. There's no question about it. I agree with you. I thought that he showed that he could beat a legitimate middleweight, right? I mean, Daniel Geale was a legitimate middleweight. And I thought he looked good. He was moving his head around. My only hang-up is, I want to see him in the ring more often, Yeah. Given,
I understand, a year's time. But he gave a solid performance. Geale's a solid middleweight. And, you know what I mean? He gave, he knocked him out. Golovkin knocked him out in 3. Cotto knocked him out in 4. And, you know what I'm saying? That's great.
You think he'll fight Triple G?
Not right now. I think he fights Canelo in September.
Well, I think either one of those fights. If I'm Miguel Cotto, I'm a future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. I know my bank account is packed. I know I got plenty of money, and if I want to continue fight, I'm going to do one of two things. If I'm Miguel Cotto, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to retire right now on top as a champion, walk away and enjoy life as a young guy. Or I might be a little greedy and decide that I want to fight one more time. Now, what's the biggest payday? Because I don't know if he gets by Canelo, man. I don't know if he gets by Canelo. I don't think he gets by Triple G. You know, so you got two tough fights that somebody's going to have to open up their checkbook to get Miguel to fight, you know? That's what I'm thinking.
I think he gets past Canelo, man. And I think he's too flat-footed. Cotto showed some boxing skills today, you know what I'm saying? The first through the third round, he was moving his head, good footwork. Canelo's too flat-footed. And, you know, like, Canelo fought James Kirkland, a man that sits there right in front of you and sits there to get hit and don't have good defense. I think Cotto's skills are too, you know, skills pay the bills, like Mayweather says. And Cotto is too sharp. He's hitting harder. And he's just, I think, the best at, let's say, if he went back down to 154, he's the best man there.
You know, I think you make a great point about what we saw tonight. I too thought that I saw more movement out of Cotto. It was worthwhile movement. It wasn't just wasted movement. You know, he was moving well. He was controlling the ring with his movement. And you're right. His head movement was. I don't know if I've ever seen Miguel Cotto avoid as many punches as he did. I can't think that Daniel Geale is that bad that he couldn't hit Miguel Cotto. You know what I'm saying? I give him some credit.
Yeah, he's solid, man. I think he got the passion back. Freddie brought the passion back, and Freddie Rhodes showing him different things, better defense, but he brought him back also to more aggressiveness, too. He saw Geale backtrotting, and he hopped on him. He got him, and then he caught him with the left hook to the head, and it was crazy because I didn't think he'll knock him out with just one punch like that.
Well, you know, the only thing that Cotto's got to start thinking about is, can he really physically compete with real middleweights? I mean, yes, he beat Daniel Geale, but Daniel Geale is in Triple G, but let's face it, Canelo's not even a middleweight. I mean, he's a junior middleweight.
Exactly.
But, you know, so I mean, listen, there's 3 fights for Cotto right now, in my opinion. Canelo, Triple G, or Floyd. Listen, I wouldn't be shocked if Floyd announces in a week that he's given Cotto a rematch, because there's something there for Floyd. He could win the middleweight title and walk away, you know. So and then Cotto gets all his money. Cotto gets another big payday. So listen, there's 3 big money fights looking at Cotto. I think he's going to take the most money, and that's who he's going to fight next, and it will be his last fight. That's what I think will happen, and we'll probably see it. We'll probably see it. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes Floyd, because he did fight Floyd well in the first fight, and he's feeling pretty invincible right now. You know, so maybe he thinks he can beat him. I don't know.
Yeah, but honestly, I think, right now, I think I'm a Cotto fan, but I think Golovkin might be a little too big for him right now. But I still would like to see it, because that'll be the top man Golovkin has fought. And let's face it, I mean, Golovkin is strong. He is solid. He comes at you. But the best fighter he fought on the resume, Willie Monroe was his last fight. That's not a good name, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cotto's resume is way better.
Yeah, but this is what I talk about on my show every day. It's like this. How can we really criticize Triple G when people like Cotto and I'm just using him as an example because he fought tonight. They won't fight him. I mean, we can only criticize him if somebody says, "Hey, I want to fight you," and he doesn't. Then we get to criticize him. It's like, that's why I'm starting to. With Andre Ward, I'm waiting a little bit. I want to see him shake the ring rust off. Then he needs to fight somebody.
That's the man. That's the man right now that will give Golovkin his loss. I'm telling you.
I don't know.
That's the man right now.
Well, then he should fight him. I mean, he's another guy. He's another guy that's talking trash, and he's not getting in the ring with him. Listen, you watch. Triple G is going to end up fighting Froch, and then he'll beat. I think he'll beat Froch. I think he beats Froch because Froch is so open. But Anyway, that's for another. That's another show. But do you watch our show? Do you listen to our show?
Well, no, this is my first time, but no, I'm gonna be on it now, man.
Well, you got to check it out, man. We do it 2 hours a day, 5 to 7, live, or you could check out the YouTube versions up on YouTube.
All right, man.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. Good points.
Yep. All right, thank you.
All right, take care. Good points my man made, man. There's no doubt about that. Some good points. And I agree with him. I said that when I opened up the show. You know, I thought Cotto moved around pretty well in this fight. Listen, I also agree with Dax. You know, Dax is a little, ticked off at some of the comments and stuff like that and some of the cherry picking. And you can't argue. But on the other hand, you got to give Cotto some credit. I mean, he did look good. And Geale, it's not exactly a cupcake, you know. I mean, he's not the A guy, but he's certainly not a cupcake. 845-228-8710. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, give us a call. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. And don't forget about checking out the website, www.billycboxing.com. And while you're at it, follow us on Twitter. It's at Talkin' Boxing, TALKIN. BOXING. And last couple of weeks, we've had some scattered schedules. Not scattered showers. That's a weather report. Scattered schedules. But we return next week, full week. And we hope you will be checking us out. And my man Alex is on the line right now. What'd you think?
Billy C. I think we saw a pretty impressive performance by Cotto, but I do think that Dax has brought up some very good points. But I think in that sense, even though we did see a Geale that, you know, every fight, especially a savage beating type of fight, you leave a little bit of yourself in the ring that night. And so in subsequent fights, there's a little less of you. This Daniel Geale had been knocked out by Triple G, and now, you know, further hindered by a catchweight. He still tried, and, you know, he did have his moments. He did land a few nice right hands. I didn't see too much mention of the headbutt. That,
man, that headbutt
right before the left hook.
And
Cotto was a force.
That headbutt just before the headbutt came just before the right hand on the top of the head. That was after the left hook. That was just bam, you know. But then the headbutt,
like right in the middle of his face.
Yeah, then the headbutt, and they kept showing the replay, and it was like he threw a jab, a headbutt, and then a right hand, bam. You know, it was like, you know, whoa, you know, man, did he use that subtle, you know. But yeah, I think you got to give him credit. I mean, he looked good against a legitimate middleweight. Yes, there was a catchweight, but you know, Geale signed it. I can't stand catchweights. I think Dax was right about what he was saying, but I also thought Cotto did look good. But talk about leaving a piece of you in the ring. That's what I saw with Robert the Ghost Guerrero, Alex. I think he's done. I think that Robert the Ghost Guerrero, somebody's got to make a decision for him. I think he's on the verge of pugilistic dementia if he doesn't watch himself.
Yeah, I did see that fight, and I did think that, I mean, I didn't catch the first, 2 rounds, but then I saw the round before he got dropped, and he did come back, but I wasn't scoring it, so I heard what you were saying with some of the other callers, and, you know, it didn't surprise me that you know, some people thought he lost, because, yeah, he's not what he was. I don't know. I'm not sure about the dementia pugilistic at this point, but I do think he's certainly, you know, anybody who's taken unnecessary beatings, that's not a good sign. But I do think, I don't know, I couldn't explain what happened today because I didn't see those early couple rounds, so I'm not sure. And I didn't even know anything about Martinez, so I haven't even looked him up. So I do think that, you know, it's one of those things where when you in a life and death struggle like that, and he literally was, had to rally back, and I'm not sure it was much of a rally. Mathematically, my feed, I was watching it streaming, so I didn't see what Steve Farhood's card was. Did you know if he had him winning?
He had
Martinez winning.
He had Guerrero. He had Guerrero winning 95-94. I had it the other way around.
So it was close.
I had it 90. Yeah, but I'm okay with 95-94 for Guerrero. I scored the first 5 basically for Martinez, and then the last 5 for Guerrero. But the knockdown made the difference.
Right.
But here's the thing. Martinez is not a knockout guy. He had 19 wins, I think 1 loss or something like that, but only 5 or 6 knockouts. I mean, he's just not known as a power puncher. And you're talking about a guy that's went toe to toe with several fighters. I don't know. I've interviewed Robert Guerrero a couple of times. As a matter of fact, you can go play them up if you go up to the hot interview section on the website, and you can hear it in his voice then. Now, listen to his interview tonight with on HBO. I mean, on NBC, and you can hear it even worse, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Listen, like Dax said about him, 147. Maybe he is better off going to 140 or something like that. But personally, he should consider hanging it up. It's ironic, Alex, because the fights we're seeing now on Premier Boxing Championships are network television type fights. I mean, realistically, that's what we're getting, right?
Right.
We're not.
I thought that was an enjoyable fight. What I had seen of it, so I thought, in that sense, it was good.
Yeah. No, it was definitely good. It was definitely good.
Did the judges having him winning by an outrageous margin?
One did 97-92.
Well, even that's not. What's that? Two more rounds than you saw it, or 3 more.
3 more. Man, plus it was a knockdown, and that means they gave. That means that it's like they already had their scorecard filled out. That means they only gave them 2 rounds. I mean, come on. It was only a 10.
Yeah, I tell you something. Back to Cotto for a second there. I do think that he pretty much made it pretty clear that Triple G is not on his radar. The only person that is Canelo. But even that, and this is where I do agree with Dax, if not maybe in quite as to the extreme that he is, but at least in spirit that I didn't like that for a guy who's fighting for the first time in a year. He says he's going to take some time and be with his family. I mean, come on. I guess we do know that what I had suggested, the last week when we did the show, that maybe there would be, a chance for a Mayweather rematch. I guess that certainly wouldn't be Mayweather's next fight because I think September just seems way too soon. But in terms of looking spectacular, Cotto did that. That win, you are going to be able to sell to the boxing fans who aren't as in the know as Dax described to scrutinize every opponent in the same way. To think that, well, look how good he looked. It would be great to see him against Mayweather. So I don't think. I mean, to me, it did seem that Cotto, even though he talked about Canelo, he wasn't gung-ho about fighting anybody next. And I do think that's one of, maybe it's great for him financially, but I don't think it's great for us as fans, even though I don't want to be too critical because I did enjoy this knockout, of course. He looked really good. He looked sharp for somebody who had been off for as long as he did. And I think, like one of the callers was saying, that he presents a mobile, he's a smart thinking, aggressive machine. That's what we've seen in these excursions at middleweight here. But I do think that, like Dax was saying, we still have to put a question mark on him because of the catchweight. He's not going to get a catchweight with Canelo. And Canelo, even though he's, he's bigger and stronger, more solid than Geale.
Yeah, well, but technically he's not a legitimate middleweight. Well, he is, but he doesn't fight at one. Listen, I agree. I think Cotto looks sharp. I think sharp is a really good word for it. But, it's like this. When we want to think like boxing is perfect, then all these guys would just constantly be fighting the next best guy and so on and so forth. But to criticize Cotto, it's the same criticisms that we can give to all the other top fighters, Mayweather, Pacquiao. I mean, they're all guilty of it to a degree, So they're all looking out for the biggest reward for the least amount of risk. Like I said to a couple of callers, I believe that Cotto is all about the money right now. There's one of, unless he retires, there's only one of 3 fights for him. And that's Canelo, that's Triple G, and that's Mayweather. And I think whatever presents the best deal to Cotto, he's going to take. But I also agree with you that, Triple G gives him a little goosebumps. And I think Triple G, when you mention Triple G to anybody that's in that weight class, they want to start thinking about something else, They don't want to. There's no doubt.
Even above. Above, some of them aren't too eager about it.
No, there's no doubt that he's the guy. And what I love even more is how much the crowd, the fact that everyone's ducking him. I realized today, Alex, the fact that everyone's ducking him is making him more popular faster than if he would have been fighting all these people. I'm telling you, I notice it from fight to fight. Now that he's showing up everywhere and he's getting big responses from the crowd. Everybody talks about Triple G. You even do a search on him now. You used to do a search on him and there's all kinds of other Gennatis out there, right? But right. Now you do a search and he comes up in the first page. So that's good. That's a good sign.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the kind. He's definitely going to be the future of the sport. And the thing about it is that we have to think of it as the immediate future. I mean, he's 32.
I was just going to say he's not going to be around forever.
I mean, he's got the next 3 or 4 years.
That's
so whatever's going to happen, let's have it happen.
And I think that he's aiming to please. If Cotto wants to fight him and Froch and Andre Ward, I think he's like, line him up. I'll fight you all. And I honestly believe that's his attitude.
Right,
so.
And I think that's where Dax. I do agree with him because it's sort of we're living in a strange time where we sort of have an uncrowned middleweight champion in Golovkin that. The fans certainly think, man, this is the guy to beat at 160 pounds. He's a destroyer. But the person who holds the middleweight championship and the lineal championship is a guy who was his biggest was 154, and he knocked over a damaged small middleweight. So you do have this. That's where the catchweight thing becomes such a tool that Cotto's going to keep using if he can. It's going to be very interesting if the Canelo fight is made next, and I hope it's made next because I'd rather see that than the Mayweather fight. And will it be at a catchweight? If I'm Canelo, I dig in my heels. I don't want a catchweight. Make him get bigger.
The truth,
it'll be interesting.
The truth
Make him fight a bigger guy.
The truth of the matter is, Canelo doesn't need Cotto. Canelo can make his money and do his thing, and I think that Cotto, because he wants to take time off again, is going to hurt his chances of Canelo. I think Canelo.
God, I hope he doesn't.
Well, I think Canelo wants to fight, Alex. Canelo wants to be busy. He's listen. I like Canelo, and I like Saul Canelo Alvarez because he backs up what he says. He says, "I want to fight the best," and the friggin' guy fights the best. He says, "I want to fight frequently," and he's been fighting frequently. He guys like him and Triple G. Sergio Kovalev, that's what I like about boxing. That's the sport that I love. And quite honestly, when I was, I'm not happy with the PBC, what it looks like on paper. There's always something. We see it happening with the Broner Porter fight coming up. One guy's coming in lighter. I mean, there's always something. But I will tell you this. because a lot of these fighters have been coddled for their career, what's happening now is some of them are getting exposed, and we're being treated to some decent fights, at least entertaining. Like you said, the Guerrero Martinez fight was entertaining from from a value point of view, and it was on network television, so we really can't complain.
Right, and I think that and that's one of the things that people keep using as the excuse, and I think there was a joke in an episode of The Office once where they talked about that, where they had the potential of getting pizza from a couple of different restaurants, and the idea of having a lot of really good pizza, or a little bit of really good pizza, or a lot of not too good pizza. I don't know. To me, I think there's something to be said about less really good fights. But you're right. I mean, every fight is a story. So we're going to see some interesting matchups like we did today. And I think that's what played out with the Guerrero Martinez. And I think that is a question: is he done, or did he take this guy lightly? But you're right. I think it certainly looks as if he might be done.
I think he's done. This was a showcase for him, Alex. There's no other way to look at that fight card except that it was a showcase for Robert Guerrero. It was an opportunity for Robert Guerrero to look good and then have a big fight down the road. Listen, I'm telling you right now that the Premier Boxing Championship Series is laying the groundwork for really, really good matchups as pay-per-views. And Robert Guerrero was in a position to look really good, to be one of those guys that would be on one side of the pay-per-view. Who knows who he fights, or maybe he's the B side, but still he's got to get on there, and he failed to impress. Same thing, all of them. Danny Garcia failed to impress. These guys, some of them are just, it makes you wonder, are they that good?
Yeah, but you gotta like that though, because I think that's what our sport, what makes it different, and I'm glad Al Heyman's learning it, because that's what makes it different from the WWE, is that even if when you stack the matchups, it's still the theater of the unexpected, and you don't know what's going to happen. And sometimes guys are exposed who you'd never think were exposed, and people become stars in one afternoon.
Well, you know what? And people become has-beens in one afternoon.
Exactly.
And that's the sad thing. Listen.
That's what makes boxing so awesome, though.
Well, boxing, like any athlete, any sport, but boxing more so, the fighters that retire as champions and walk away on their terms get better and better as time goes on. I mean, the most recent example I can give is Joe Calzaghe. Joe Calzaghe was a guy, to me, now I've never been kind to him. I think he's been overrated from day one. He's been being regarded, now he's a Hall of Famer. He's been out 6 years. He's a Hall of Famer. And I think it was Steve Farhood, a guy I respect and admire, says he's the best super middleweight of all time, and it's like, come on, man, that's a little tough. I guess you could say it because the super middleweight division hasn't been around that long, but I mean, come on, man, but didn't Roy Jones Jr. hold that belt for a little while? I mean, come on, but anyway, Alex, I look forward to next week. I know you're going to be up at the Hall of Fame. I'm not going. Unless I change my mind at the last minute. I'm starting to think of sausage and peppers for some reason, but I want to talk to you about maybe calling and giving us a report of what's going on up there while you're there.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, that would be great.
All right, I'll drop you an email if not tomorrow, on Monday. So.
All right, sounds good, Billy.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. That's my man Alex Papali. You can check him on Wednesdays. On our daily show. Again, if you're tuning in, stumbled across our post-fight show, we do a daily 2-hour boxing talk show. We're in our 12th year of the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You could check it out. We are on the radio and on TV, but you could check out the stream as well right here on BillyCBoxing.com or on YouTube, www.youtube.com/talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING. That does it. That wraps it up for the Cotto-Geale post-fight show. Miguel Cotto, in my opinion, was impressive looking tonight. Improves to 40 wins, 4 losses, 33 of them coming by knockout. With his fourth round TKO, 1 minute and 28 seconds over Daniel Geale at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Geale drops to 31-4. We're all wondering what Miguel Cotto will do next. I guess the general consensus is he will be fighting, or we want to see him fight Canelo Alvarez. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a call to fight Floyd Mayweather. But we do know that Floyd, or at least Mayweather Promotions, has secured the date for September, so we should be hearing an opponent's name announced soon. Hey, listen, that does it for Billy C's Cotto-Geale post-fight show. Check us out, www.billycboxing.com, or like I said, go look at the past shows, youtube.com/talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING. And listen, we hope you join us Monday. We go live 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you're there. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. Don't forget to tune in. Same bat time, same bat channel. Well, if you're new, it's 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Right here, www.billycboxing.com. Until then, ciao, baby.